All right. Mic check. I'm good. So I'm Max Ceron. CWB Association Welding podcast. Podcast. Today we have a really cool guest. Welding podcast.
The show is about to begin.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the CWB Association podcast. My name is Max Ceron, and as always, I'm looking for the coolest people I can find, and you're not going to find a cooler girl than this one I'm interviewing right now who is doing wonderful work all over the world. We have Sofia Salazar coming to us here from Edmonton and the University of Alberta. Sophie, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
So, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been a long day, long week. GWB, we got lots of projects. It's a busy time. As you know, you're busy too. So it's been pretty crazy. So yeah. Sophia, let's start with a couple obvious things for people that are going to be coming on. Let's start with the first one. Where are you from?
Well, I am from Chile, from a city called La Serena, which means like the Serenity. And I did my school, my high school over there, and then I went to Santiago, which is the capital, to study my university career.
All right, so La Serena, beautiful little town. I have family that lives there. One of my cousins is a tattoo artist in La Serena, and he just moved to Canada. He's in Kelowna now, but La Serena is a smaller kind of area, nice place. Kind of middle class, upper middle class. How did you, as a young girl, what did you think you were going to be when you grew up? Because I feel like in Chile, still lots of people think about like women and women's jobs, men and men's jobs, and for yourself, what was your dream when you were a little girl? What did you think you wanted to be?
Well, actually, I wanted to be a chef.
Yeah?
Yeah. But I am the youngest of four brothers, so I kind of knew that wasn't an option. My father was very strict regarding education, and he always was saying that the only thing he required from us was good grades for us to study. So, yeah. But my dream as a kid was to be a chef. Then I wanted to be a doctor, but then I thought it was kind of boring. Like after a while, it's the same thing. So then, I went with engineer.
So chef, cooking, and engineering are very similar. I've had this conversation with chefs and people in the sciences my whole life because they do basically what any good scientist does. They, work with their ingredients. They mix them in the right, quantities, and they have an expected outcome. And if the outcome doesn't come out correctly, then they have to review the process, the ingredients, and see what happened. That's very similar to what we do in the sciences.
Yeah, that's true.
Doctor, I understand. Nobody wants to be a doctor. Yuck. I don't want to be a doctor. I didn't think it was boring, but I thought it was just yucky. Like, I don't want to touch people. I don't want to look in people's, armpits and mouths and ears and whatever else you got to look at. No, thank you.
Actually, like I still feel like a passion for it. Like I don't mind like human body. Like I cannot feel like any kind of aversion to something that it's literally in everyone. Like if someone tells me like, would you study like medicine? It would be like, if
Maybe.
someone like is it, why not? But yeah, many years. That's true.
So you're in La Serena, you're finishing high school, and you decide that you want to get into engineering. Did you decide that right out of high school, or did you try something else first?
Actually, it was like a last moment decision because, my father has this like clock, these cuckoo clocks, like the ones with the bird that come out.
And
like,
the eye, yeah.
Yeah, so one day, like it fall and it opened, and I was trying to see for the batteries, and my father tells me that it doesn't require any batteries. So like because of that, I start like thinking, that's like interesting. And like first I have like this kind of, I wouldn't say naive, but kind of naive idea of like, maybe we could make like everything work without like electricity and just by any other kind of like mechanical energy. And that's why I went to engineer. Like I thought it would be fun. Like I will never get bored. There are always different projects, and I kind of like that.
Now, mechanical engineering specifically, is that because of the cuckoo clock, or did you choose mechanical engineering for any other reason?
That was actually because of the cuckoo clock. Of course, I had other options. I think I should maybe like have given like a second thought to that. But I didn't. When I entered to engineer, I was like, I want mechanical engineer. And after the 2 first years, you have to decide the specialty. And yeah, I just went to mechanics.
Now, once, being in the mechanical engineering field, as a woman in Chile, did you feel that there was good representation? Was there lots of women in your program? Was it pretty diverse or not very much?
No, we were like 2 women every 10 guys.
Yeah.
So not at all, but I will say it's actually like a very good advantage.
Yeah, an advantage to be a female in surrounded by men. What's the advantage that you would have?
So honestly, this will sound like maybe not very accurate, but they never considered you as part of the competition.
Oh, I see. So they're like, oh, you're just a woman. I don't have to worry about you. But you're like, I'll show you.
I mean, my game is like be quiet, and then when I like actually got the scholarship or whatever, it's like everyone is like, oh my God, did she apply? Like nobody even thought that I would like be applying to these kind of things.
Really? And I've met you. I've known you for a couple of years now here in Canada, and I never would have thought of you as quiet.
I mean, not now because I'm already here, right? I'm already here. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say I am like a very quiet person. I'm just saying like, you should like I try not to say like
you try to be like low key. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like in that like aspect is like an advantage.
Yeah.
I have felt like around my whole like university life. Yeah, mainly that actually I would say is like my biggest.
Now, as someone getting into engineering in Chile, were you worried about finding work? Because there's something weird happening in Chile where for the last 30 years, it's like everyone got told to go to university, and there are so many engineers in Chile. Like everyone took engineering. Like everywhere you look, there's engineers. Like 2/3 of my cousins are engineers. But now they're struggling to find work. Did anyone talk to you about that? Said, look, Sofia, sure, you can go into engineering, mechanical engineering, great profession. But, what about the work? Where are you going to work?
Like many people ask me about this. In Chile, there is a problem. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a problem, but the thing is that they like to call engineer like everything. And this is a difference. Like when I came here, I realized that over here I am a mechanical engineer. But in Chile, the career is called like mechanical civil engineer. And the thing is that in Chile, most of like how can I say this? Like engineer is being considered civil engineer. So if you're, for example, like mechanical engineer, that's not the same as mechanical civil engineer. It has the name of engineer, but it's not like here it wouldn't be considered an engineer.
Oh, okay. So what would be the equivalent of a mechanical engineer in Chile to an engineer here?
So what I believe what happens is that there are like different levels, more levels than the ones that you can find here. Like it wouldn't be the same as a technician because over there you also have a technician. But then like that's the thing, like the range of like works is different. So my whole point here is that a mechanical engineer is not the same as a mechanical civil engineer, which here is a mechanical engineer.
Not confusing at all.
Yeah, not confusing at all. Yeah, but yeah, like what you're saying is also true. Like, I wouldn't say that the amount of work is the same as before, especially because many companies have like leave the country.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, after like the social crisis that we had like a few years ago, that was kind of worse.
Uh-huh.
But I wouldn't say it's like impossible or very hard to find a job.
Okay. Okay. Now, as you were going through your mechanical engineering education, did you ever think that you would be, one day leaving the country? Did you have that thought as, even a young person growing up that you wanted to travel or work elsewhere? You know, how did that happen?
Yeah, like honestly, all my life
Yeah.
since since like I don't know, I was 12. I always wanted to leave the country and like no, I don't know, other cultures, already work in other places. And when I came here, I never thought I was going to be here like that soon. I thought like I should finish first my undergrad, and then I will probably like apply for other options, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, like when I came, I saw, I don't know, the safety, for example. It was a very important point for me to be able like to go outside at, I don't know, 11 p.m. and be sure that nothing's going to happen.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, I just love it.
And so when you were in the university course in Chile, it's the University of Santiago, when did you start thinking about leaving and how did the opportunity present itself?
So the opportunity presented one night. I was in a party and I saw this post of a friend, Vicente, which you probably know him.
Hmm.
And yeah, I saw the post saying like, if you want to apply to this scholarship, it's like super easy. Most of people get accepted. So yeah, I went to sleep that night and I thought about it like 3 times. And I have this rule like, if I think about something 3 times, it's because I wanted it. Period. So, you know this dilemma when you're like in your bed and you start like thinking on the ice cream
Hmm.
that is in the fridge. I say like if I think it 3 times, I will stand up and go for the ice cream because otherwise it will be just there like bothering me. So it's like my personal law. So yeah, I thought about it 3 times, and then next morning I said I think I thought about it 3 times, so I will apply, and yeah, I did. But I never thought I was going to be accepted. Actually, like many months have like passed, and I was already in another thesis with another professor when I got the email saying that I was accepted for the scholarship. So I was like, yeah.
And then when you got accepted, a couple things have to happen. First of all, what did your family think about you getting accepted to the scholarship, which meant that pretty quickly you're going to have to pack your bags and go to another country. What did they think about that?
My parents were super happy.
Yeah.
Like actually everyone in my family, we were having dinner and I say like, oh, I got accepted. But I just couldn't like, you know, digest the idea. So everyone was like, oh my God, congratulations, right? And I was like, wow, is this real? So
And how
yeah, then,
how far along were you in your undergrad when you got accepted? Were you in your third year or
no, I was in my last year.
in your final year? Okay.
Yeah, I applied for the scholarship to do my thesis because in my country you have to do undergrad thesis to
Hmm.
finish the career. So yeah, actually it was crazy because like I needed my sister was going to get married in April, and my brother was getting married on November of the previous year. So I literally had my brother's wedding, and like after 2 days, I came here to Canada. And when I went back because the scholarship ended, after 2 days, I had my sister's wedding. So I was like,
So what was the scholarship for, and what did you do when you came for that period of time?
so it was for 4 months, like basically research. I use it to do my thesis. It's not necessary. You can do just a normal research, but I use it for that. And yeah, I choose friction stir welding. Um, but Patricio Mendez, my supervisor, he gives you like different options, like what would you like to study?
Hmm.
But I didn't know anything about welding. I didn't know anything. Like we don't study welding in undergrad of mechanical engineer. I don't know why. I mean, we did saw it like for a couple classes, but it's not really something that you like will remember, like the difference between TIG, MIG.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just saw like, okay, Freshester welding is for like, it's different, it's for like aluminum alloys. So it's like, I am going to go for that one. And it was way harder than I expected, but I love it. I love the complexity. It's like everything what I was actually searching for, because that's like the idea, to find a problem that involves like mechanics, like heat transfer, plastic deformation. So it was like the whole package in one.
And in the 4 months, what was expected of you to complete? They say, okay, here's your scholarship. You're coming up for 4 months. From the university in Canada's angle, Dr. Patricio Mendez, what does he expect you to do and finish in those 4 months?
So Patricia first wanted me to like replicate the previous results of the person that was working with this, because he was kind of stuck on this problem, and like from the previous like students, nobody could like actually get something done. So he said like, okay, the next one I will first ask to get the same results as the previous person that started this whole like mathematical model. So I remember I studied the whole model for like a month. Then I got the results, and yeah, he was like happy because I got them. And then he asked me to do a little bit of changes regarding like heat transfer phenomena, like incorporating the heat transfer for like the base plate that is happening. I don't want to go into very much detail, but yeah, I incorporate that, and I got new results which were better. So I remember I just did that, like I replicate the previous results and did this little bit of improvement, and yeah, and that's it. That was
And
my
that's 4 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get sent back home to Chile to finish your thesis and graduate. And, what were your thoughts? You got a little bit of taste of Canada, Edmonton. It sounds like you were up here in the winter, so it's cold in Edmonton in December, January, February. And then you go back home, you finish your degree, and you're going to go to work like a normal Chilean, What happened? Because,
No.
oh,
Like
what happened?
when I came here, I was like, I really, really want the masters. Like, I really want to come back. Like, I knew it even before coming. So yeah, like when I came, I was like, I'm going to work a lot. I really hope Patricio likes my work, and I will probably be able to apply for the masters. So that was the whole plan since the beginning. So when I went back to Chile, I defend my thesis, and then yeah, I applied for the masters, and in a couple of months, I was here again.
So that was pretty quick. At this point, is your family still very supportive? Because now this looks like more permanent decision now.
No, yeah. My father is, there was this moment where I was really missing them. And my father was like, no, you have to be strong. You have to like stay there, and we will visit you, and you can come to visit. But yeah, it was always the plan, and my family, especially my father, was he is super proud because
Yeah.
I am here.
And what about if it was somewhere else? Like, why Canada? Like, I know there was a scholarship with the U of A. They have a very unique program when it comes to, like, combining welding engineering with other forms of other engineering, whether it's mechanical or materials or fluid dynamics or whatever. So that's a good mix. That doesn't happen too many places in the world. So I understand that. But when you were, in Chile before applying for the ELAP scholarship, were you thinking about other countries? Were you thinking, I would like to go to Europe or Australia, or, what was your list of top 5?
So my first option was Germany, and I was actually studying German in
In Chile?
back in the
Yeah.
time. I was studying, like I was really, really considering Germany. Um, and yeah, then like Canada happened, and actually it was for the best. My sister, she moved to Essen. Now she's over there. And what I really like about here in Edmonton, or I don't know, I don't know if I can speak for entire Canada, but immigrants here, it's like a thing. So
It's
I felt
normal.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
normal for so many countries. So I have never felt like discrimination at all. But my sister, that she's in Germany, she had already, like, of course.
Yeah.
So
And
so yeah,
are you gonna go to the big Essen show? They do a huge welding and fabrication show in Essen, Germany every 2 years, I think. Are you gonna
yeah.
go to one of them?
I mean, I hope so.
Me
I,
too. I want to go.
I have been traveling so much since I came here. So yeah, I hope it can be done, but in the future.
So now, you finish your undergrad, you get on your master's, you come back to Canada, and at this point, are you feeling like you want to make, this country your home? Or are you still thinking that when you finish your master's, you can go work somewhere else? Because I know how difficult it is for many immigrants to come to Canada, and as much as they like it and they love it and it's great, they just miss home too much. Like they just want to get back home. Did you feel that?
I feel like I really, really miss the culture, I really miss the fact of being in the street, seeing like two friends to meet each other and they are like, hey, how are you? And like they hug each other.
Mm-hmm.
And here is very weird to see that. Like people are not used to like be very like
Touching.
touchy. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I know it maybe sounds weird, but that's something I really miss about my country. And yeah, like the interaction that people have. Also, I have noticed like this also sounds kind of crazy, but I believe that in Chile people like speak a lot and they are not afraid of saying their ideas. I know that there are many cultures that consider that being like, always calm is something good.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I really miss the fact that people express their emotions like,
Yeah, Chileans aren't calm.
no, they are like, I don't know. It's like just being like super honest regarding what are you
Mm-hmm.
feeling. And of course, sometimes that is not something very good, but I really miss that. Like people
Yeah.
actually expressing themselves. Like I was the other day on this traffic for like 1 hour, and it turned out that there was these two cars that crashed, but it was like nothing. It was nothing. Like you could see it was absolutely nothing. You couldn't even see like a little mark in the car. And and the driver says like, "Oh my God, I can't believe we just wait like an hour because of that."
And what would have happened in Chile if there was an accident like that and there was
So yeah,
traffic?
that's the thing when that happens in Chile. Everyone starts shouting like "move" or something, But
Honk, honk,
I
honk,
couldn't,
honk, honk.
exactly, I
Yeah.
couldn't believe that nobody says anything. And I am sure that everyone was like super upset when they saw like the tiny, tiny like accident. So that's something I really miss, like people just like expressing themselves.
And what about the school? How different was university in Chile versus university in Canada? Was it the same? Was it similar? Or was it way different?
I love the fact that here they how can I say this? Sports is like everywhere.
Yeah.
I really love that. Like they are always saying like, I don't know, we have this hockey game on this date, like or the fact that they have like a very big gym.
Mm-hmm.
Uh for people here maybe it's normal to have like a 2-floor gyms, but I have never seen one in my life. So so yeah, I like that here. Like there is more energy in that sense. And also the university here like involve a lot like community, like for
Mm-hmm.
example in the gym there is this like swimming pool and there is this day for family like to come in and swim with their like kids, and
Mm-hmm.
that's super sweet. And yeah, they involve like families, they involve community. Also industry is way more like incorporated, like I know industries that like provide for like masters, for example, subject for students. And I wouldn't say that that's something you don't ever see in Chile, but it's more weird, yeah.
Well, that's one of the things that I'm working on in Chile is trying to connect the universities to the public and to the industry, because I've always noticed that in Chile that the levels don't talk to each other. Like it's like you're over here, this is your road. Don't look over there. Don't go over there. This is where you stay. And And I don't think that's good. I think it's better when there's communication between the research centers, the universities, the training centers where the welders are, and the and industry, because those are the people that should be talking to each other, because they need each other, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like that was very shocking for me here, like to realize that how like
And
university is a main component of like society, but you can see that in many aspects.
hmm and then what about the schooling? Would you say that the schooling was the same level? Was it harder in Chile? Was it harder here? Or kind of engineering is engineering no matter where you are in the world?
I would say it's different because in Chile I was in my bachelor's, so for what I have seen for bachelor's students here, it was kind of the same. We
Uh-huh.
have a lot of classes, a lot of like assignments and projects. But now here, because of the master's, I have to take different kind of classes with different like requirements. Um, they were like a little bit like harder, but I don't know if that's because of the master's or because if actually classes are like harder
Yeah.
here.
Or you.
For me,
Yeah,
yes.
because maybe you didn't like those classes. It's hard to do well in a class you don't really like, too.
Yeah, no, but like I like the subject. It was also
hmm
new to learn the whole like technical language in English. Um, but yeah, no, like I really like the classes here. Like professors are very committed. Yeah.
That's
Oh,
the next question I was going to ask you is the language barrier. You know, Chile, people ask me like if people in Chile speak English. And I always say, yeah, kind of, because they do learn in school. There is English classes in school, and but I say it's like people in Chile speak English like I speak French, very poorly. So for you, were you already pretty good at English? Because your English now is excellent, and within a couple of years, that seems almost impossible. So you must have had some English before you came.
yeah, I did. I study English like my whole like school until like eighth grade, and all
Mm-hmm.
of my classes were in English. And then I have 2 hours of English until I was 18. And after that, in the university, we also have to take English classes. Um, so yeah, I will say that the biggest difference is to learn as a kid. The
Mm-hmm.
pronunciation is something like you usually get when you're like little.
Little,
So
yeah.
yeah, I agree with you. I will say that yeah, I will like it depends where you are, like in
Yeah.
Chile.
Because even like compared to Vicente and Stefano, you speak better English than them.
No, thank you.
But Vicente was here longer, you know what I mean? But I don't think he had as much English to start.
For my father was also a very like clue point, and I laugh nowadays because I remember that I hated English. I didn't like it. I was terrible at it. I didn't have good grades,
Uh-huh.
and I always say like I will never use it. And now, yeah, I use it. So yeah, like I would say it's on like education basically.
And what about the technical language? How hard was it to start picking up the technical language, the specific engineering terms, but then even further the specific welding engineering term?
So regarding welding, it wasn't that hard because I learned it in English.
Uh-huh.
But for the classes that I had to took that were not welding related, yeah, that was hard. Like I remember I didn't know what was alloy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, like after a while, it wasn't that hard. Like I remember I make this list of like main concepts that you for sure should know. Um, and yeah, then it wasn't hard.
Awesome. Well, let's take the break right now for our commercials and sponsors and advertisers. And then when we come back, Sophie, I want to talk about what you're doing at the university now and all the different projects you got going on. So don't go anywhere, everyone. Stay tuned here to the CWB Association podcast. I'm Max Ceron and with Sofia Salazar, and we'll be right back after these messages.
The CWB Association is new and improved and focused on you. We offer a free membership with lots of benefits to anyone interested in joining an association that is passionate about welding. We are committed to educating, informing, and connecting our workforce. Gain access to your free digital publication of the Weld magazine, free online training, conferences, and lots of giveaways. Reach out to your local CWB Association chapter today to connect with other welding professionals and share welding as a trade in your community. Build your career, stay informed, and support the Canadian welding industry. Join today and learn more at cwbassociation.org.
And we are back on the CWB Association podcast. My name is Max Ceron, and I'm here with Sofia Salazar. Thanks so much for being with us, a fellow Chilean here on the show and in Edmonton at the University of Alberta. Now, we were talking about before the break, where you were in terms of your transition to the colleges here and then working on your master's. So are you almost done your master's now?
When you're doing research, that's like a hard thing to say because I would say that I was close to finish, but then we realized that we were missing something. So now we have to incorporate that, and that involves redoing all the equations. But yeah, I will say that I am way closer to finish.
So maybe one more year, 2 more years?
No, I think maybe I will be able to finish this year.
Yeah.
So
and in that journey here now to your master's, what involvements have you been getting into? Because you at the University of Alberta, they have a number of different programs going on, and you've noticed obviously in Canada there's associations, there's groups, there's committees, there's student groups, there's all sorts of things to get involved with that you don't have to be a part of, but you chose to be. So, when you got here, I guess, what was your, learning process about, all these other organizations and why would you even decide to work with them?
Yeah, actually, that was kind of funny. In the moment I came here, I was already part as the student chapter, and I didn't even know what was a student chapter. It took me a while to actually get the meaning of it. And yeah, I was publicity coordinator first, the last year. And yeah, I started learning that we should organize this, for example, this annual seminar, that we participate, for example, in different conference, Canwell, FabTech. So yeah, then I started learning, and the next year I became president. So
now, why did you want to be involved with these things? They're extra work. It's extra time. Even the conferences and the papers, not all engineering students do that. Not all engineering students that are working on masters or doctorates do the conferences. They find other ways to get their information out there. What is it that attracts that to you?
So yeah, that's one of the things I really like about being here. There is more involvement, and actually you want to do it because the people that is also involved, for example, in the CWB, like you, they want to be there because it's something that it's helping people, it's improving the whole system, and you're actually happy of doing your job, and I can see that. So that's something that it was very interesting for me. I thought that I could learn, and I have learned a lot by being involved in, for example, the student chapter. So yeah, it's basically that's why I wanted to get involved, to get experience in that aspect, and also because I wanted to be more involved in this area. I think it's amazing to see a community of the area where you're actually working on.
Mm-hmm. And how do you feel the community is in Edmonton, for you? Because Alberta in general is kind of seen as a very, I guess, central hub for oil and gas research. There's a little bit of mining, there's some forestry, there's a lot of industry in the prairies in general. If you just look at central Canada, how is your reception into that world? Do you feel like you fit right in? And has it been easy to navigate all that information?
No, no, not at all. And and it was shocking for me, for example, the oil and gas like industry here, because in Chile, everything is like green energy, and here when you came, it's like oil and gas. We love oil and gas, so that was kind of shocking. And but yeah, the fact that the whole like industry know each other, like, but more than in like a professional way. Like for example, the trivia night. It's like a very nice like instance where actually people get involved and they like to participate, and yeah, like that was like shocking for me to see. So I felt like I was like very well welcome in the whole community, like people like you, and yeah, like they have like guided me very, very well.
And your master's now, as you get closer to being done, is it still in the friction stir world? Is that have you transitioned your thesis into your master's?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And what is it you're trying to solve right now? Let us know what you're trying to figure out.
Okay.
And people that listen to this show are educated and know welding, so don't worry about trying to make it simple. People can figure it out.
So our like biggest problem was the shear layer thickness. So we had problems because when we were calculating the shear layer thickness, we got that some like results were like super big. That didn't have any sense at all. Even if we like establish as like a hypothesis that the shear layer should be like way thinner than the pin radius. But then we just like realized that we were not considering in the like in the vessel function that we should also that we should consider like the addition of this shear layer thickness in the equation. So right now we're incorporating that, and yeah, like after that we believe that we will have to like recalculate the four main like equations, and then we will compare again the results that are like experimental versus the one that are
theoretical.
Theoretical, thank you, and to see if they're like very similar. And that was like the last of our problems regarding the model.
So when in the process of friction stir welding, the heat generated is obviously through friction, but you need to get to a shear value where you'll actually peel the material off the parent metal in order to create the weld pool. Am I on the right track here?
Yes.
Right. And once you got it spinning, then it's easy to quantify the temperatures, the heats, the penetration. So
like I stop you there because that's where we have like our clue point.
Right.
Like one of the main purposes of this model is to find this temperature where you have enough plastic deformation to be able to stir and mix the two plates. But there is no equation so far that tells you like, oh, this is the like temperature to have this enough plastic deformation to join it with another metal. So that's the equation that we're trying to get. Like, it's not the melting temperature or the solidification one, is the temperature that we call T delta, which is that one. Like, this is our clue temperature here. And the whole model actually tries to calculate it. And we believe it will be like generic, like generic for all the materials. And of course, it's related with the melting temperature. So like so far, in literature, it is believed that it's like the 60% of the melting temperature. But that's like
that's a generalization, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like someone said, like, oh, it's the 60%, and that's it. But there is no like mathematical verification. So with this model, we will be able to say, okay, actually, so far we have that is the 72%, and we will have something to prove it.
Yeah, and you can then, without actually running a machine, you should be able to gather the alloys, thicknesses, pin size, and be able to calculate how much heat, how much pressure, all of that prior to even starting, right?
So yeah, the idea is like with the mechanical properties of the alloy, and by knowing this temperature, like we will say, okay, we need to reach this temperature, so this is the rotational speed, the travel speed, and the plunging force that your machine should do.
Now, hypothetically, if you come up with this magic number for a plate or two plates that you're planning to weld, or join, I guess, in this situation, could you preheat the plates to just below that temperature in order to take a lot of the pressure off of the plunging and the mechanical properties that are being introduced externally?
I mean, you can take out. I mean, no, actually, that wouldn't even be a good idea. Like if
No.
you preheat the plate,
Yeah.
okay, you can like release the plunging force, but that's also like super important because it makes the thing
pressure.
when it's rotating makes the material to flow like upwards.
Right.
So the whole like shoulder is compressing all of that and making like the weld to be very nice. And also you will still have the friction. So if you increase the plate temperature, you will probably reach a higher temperature than the one that you are seeking for.
Okay. Next question about this, because I'm interested and I'm imagining it in my mind right now. With is there a possibility that you can weld through friction stir by getting above that critical, that T delta, but below melting? Couldn't you join like in a cold state, not non-melted?
Okay,
But
so a friction stir welding is in cold state. We never reach the melting temperature.
But in friction stir at the puddle, that's melting temperature, right?
No.
No,
So that's
still
the
not,
whole thing.
because
No.
it looks red. I mean, to the common person that watches friction stir welding, they see it and they think that this is 1600 degrees melted metal, but it's not.
So okay, friction stir welding it's not the same as friction welding because one is like when you have like the two cylinders on there,
Yeah.
and the other one is when you have like this pin and shoulder tool that like goes in. So when that happens, like it's not actually like the same like red color as when you're like melting or welding with
Okay.
like a you never reach, or you should never reach the melting temperature when you're doing friction stir welding.
And if you did, you went too far.
Yeah, exactly. So because the whole idea is to use it. I mean, you can use it in different materials, but it was mainly created for aluminum alloys that have like, for example, elements that their like melting point is very low.
Yeah. And you don't want to lose the mechanical properties of the materials by getting them too hot, and then you'll get grain dilution or grain migration, and they'll separate. Okay, I'm with you. See, I could have done this. I should have been an engineer. I'm not dumb. I can figure these things out.
Yes, absolutely. Of course you can. Of course, it's just like the math behind is the problem, but like if you actually like think about it and after you imagine it, it's solved.
Okay, so a year from now, Sofia Salazar is going to walk across that stage with her master's, and it'll be a very happy moment. And then what the heck are you going to do?
Like now, maybe I hope that some opportunities come up. Like I'm going to Nashville to do a presentation. And yeah, I will like meet more people over there, and I hope like opportunities can like appear probably in the States as well.
Yeah, do you want to stay in North America though? Do you want to stay in like Canada, US? Would that be preferred?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Not back to Chile?
No. No.
Even if the opportunity presented itself?
No way. Like I really I really want to stay. Yeah. No, I wouldn't go back to Chile.
Yeah.
If they take me out of this country, will be very sad.
Now, what about your status as a Canadian? because you have to be in Canada a certain number of years before you can apply for PR. But you should be getting close to that now. You should be able to apply for permanent residence pretty soon.
So the system works like this. You study, and when you finish studying, you can get this visa that is post-study work visa, something like that.
Mhm.
And that provides you with 3 years. And in these 3 years, of course, you should start working anywhere.
Mhm.
And after 2 years, you will get enough experience in order to get the points to apply for the PR.
That's exciting. And
Yeah.
what kind of industry would you like to work in? If you had your choice, where you think your expertise would fit the best. Do you see yourself working within like a university setting, research, or you want to get out into industry and work with a company to try to do something?
No, I for sure I would love to go to industry. Yeah, like I have been for a long time in universities. So yeah, I would like to gain some experience in industry. Hopefully something fun. I yeah, like there are different kinds, right? I am not sure like which one. I am not sure if I should like say names.
No,
But
but
I
even
would like
types
to
of
be like,
industry.
yeah, like mining related, it will be great.
Okay, well then you should move to Saskatchewan. This is where all the mining is in Canada, and
Yeah.
we have taken a few of the U of A grads here. Quite a few have come to Evraz because we have the steel mill here in Regina, and they have a big R&D and I believe they have 2 CCWJ grads working at here in Regina. But there's lots of work in mining. I think that's a good choice.
Yeah. I don't know if it is because like of Chile itself, because it's also like very mining related.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel like mining will be a good experience.
And then what about your volunteer work? The U of A chapter, once you graduate, you'll be kicked out of the U of A student chapter because you will not be a student anymore. And, would you be still looking to work with, the association or any associations? Because I know you're a part of the AWS as well. And depending on which province you're going to be in, there's other associations. Every province has their own that for industry, right? Do you see yourself still continuing with the volunteer work in the future?
Oh yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah,
Good.
like if I could get like more involved into the CWB, that would be great. It's
Well,
like
we
want
do
to take
hire,
it.
Have you checked out the job postings at CWB?
Yeah, no, like I like it. Like I feel like I have found that I am good like at this kind of jobs,
Yeah.
volunteer, as you say. I like organizing stuff and like meeting people and yeah, do like projects that they are good for everyone.
And in the last 2 years that you have been, both volunteering and now chair of your chapter here in Canada, what are some of the most memorable memories? So what are some of the best experiences you had as a volunteer? Things that you thought maybe you wouldn't get to do if you weren't a volunteer.
I wouldn't say it's like a memory yet because it haven't happened, but I think that like the biggest thing as like being in the student president, like in the student chapter, is the annual seminar. It's great to see that last year, and like I have all my hope that this year as well, we were able to gather so many people, organize an event that is like high profile with speakers of like very important companies. And yeah, even this year, like we're like 1 month, like 1 month like from the annual seminar, which will be on May the 2nd. And yeah, like most of the things have already been like sold. Yeah, like that's like a very nice thing. Like even if it still haven't happened, the one of this year from previous year was nice to see that we were able to organize such a like a big event.
Yeah.
Students, like and being involved like by emails with the speakers and companies. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
now they know who you are.
yeah, like
That's
that as
good.
well. Like at the beginning, I was super nervous. I was like, how should I talk to these like people? Like for real, I was like,
Yeah.
should I be like super polite? Like, and then yeah, I start like having more confidence and yeah,
Hmm.
replying fast.
And what about the conferences? What's the favorite part of the conferences for you? Because I know you've spoken at quite a few, you've attended quite a few in Canada and the US. What's your favorite part as a student and now a professional with the conferences?
My favorite part will be networking.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, also that was like I feel I grow a lot in that aspect at the beginning. Everyone told me no networking, and I was like, I don't know how to do networking. and and then yeah, like I just like wrote and then start saying like hi. And yeah, people were super nice. It's nice to like see that the people wants to talk to you, and they are teaching you about what they do, why they're there. And yeah, I would say that's my favorite part. Also, good opportunities have like come up from networking, like this presentation that I'm going to do in Nashville now. That's only networking.
Yeah. No, and it's amazing what networking can do. And I always think about when I was chair, when I was my local chair, and volunteering and getting to know people and expanding my professional life, my window of professionalism, how I would not be in this job today if it wasn't for the networking I did with the associations when I was younger, because it was 100% just getting to know people and showing people your skill, and eventually someone will come knocking and say, "Hey, that's what we need."
Yeah, that's yeah. I have even like talked to you several times in conferences.
Yeah.
In
Well, I'm everywhere.
yeah, no, I know. Just yeah, like we have had like very good like conversations as well.
Yeah. I remember, and this is such a fond memory. On my end, as you get older and you move up, you have less and less opportunities to have really nice, authentic moments where you get to just be happy and just be happy with other people and not be thinking and planning and blah blah blah. And I remember when we were in New Brunswick, and I rented that vehicle, and I was going to take my staff for lobsters, and you and Vicente were like, "Can we come?" Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah, get in the truck, let's go." And I remember watching the two of you talk, and we went and we were like, when we snuck into that area to go climb that big platform, and you said, "I never ever thought that I would be here, in New Brunswick at the ocean, just because I decided to go to school in Canada." And that moment for me was nice, because that's what associations are supposed to do. We're supposed to help young people broaden their horizons, learn new experiences, and you want to see people be inspired. You want to see them have that inspiration where they're going to take that energy and do something with it.
Yeah, like that's the thing. The whole thing has been like really crazy. Like in one moment I was in Chile and I never like I wasn't expected to go at that time. And then I finished in this city called Edmonton, which I have never heard before. And then like at the other like few months more, I am like in New Brunswick, also another place I never heard before. Like it's such an amazing place, with like people I never thought I was going to meet. Like, come on, like I don't know. My supervisor is like Argentinian and he speaks Spanish. Like, do you know how lucky I am for being able to
Mm-hmm.
speak with my supervisor in Canada? And then like I meet you, like you're like all involved with CWB and you're even Chilean, and I am like, what? And yeah, like the both of us, we have been like in New Brunswick. We also were together in Chile in
Mm-hmm.
conferences. So it's really like amazing to see how things happen, like very random.
Everything has a reason. Everything happens for a reason. It's just physics. Physics and
Yeah,
science, it all happens for a reason. So,
it's so nice. It's really like
and
unexpected and
yeah, no, and that's wonderful. That's what volunteering and associations are supposed to do. That's they don't exist just for nothing. That's what the I remember being young and being a part of groups, and everyone tells you to be a part of something, and then you go do it, and you're like, what am I here for? What's the point? And you shouldn't. Hopefully, I never have that happen for people where it's like, what's the point of this? I hopefully it's obvious that this is the point, this to do this or to network or to learn or to share or whatever it is.
and this is exactly the reason why I also wanted to be involved in the Chilean one. Like it's something that can turns out to be something so nice. Like yeah.
Mhm. Now, in the future, what do you see for yourself? What's the end game for Sophie?
So
Uh,
exactly because of this, I don't know. Like I never expected to be here. Like what I am confident is that yeah, like life is kind of taking me through a very good like way or
mhm.
role. So yeah, I don't know where I'm going to finish, but I know I will be like very happy to be there. And probably will be the same. I will be like, I never expected to be here.
That's perfect because I always say the same thing. I have been asked in my life thousands of times, what's the pathway? What's the way to get to the top? And honestly, for me, I had no plan. My only plan was to work as hard as I could, be me, just be Max, just be me. Don't let anyone tell me not to be me. And obviously watch your relationships. That's an important one for me. Just watch your relationships because it you can be nice to someone 99.9% of the time. But if you're mean to somebody once, they will never forget that moment. So you got to be careful where you put your emotions, and if you want good things, you got to give good things. You
Yeah,
can't
exactly.
you can't give bad and expect good. You got to give good to get good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I absolutely agree with you. Also, like another um kind of suggestion that I always receive when I ask um kind of my mentors,
Uh-huh.
what should I do when I like finish my master's? They always tell me to accept kind of like all offers, change of job, gain experience, never reject opportunities, like especially if you're scared of them, like just go and do it. You will be able to do them and you will learn in the way.
Yeah, like I mean, if it's in front of you, if it's an opportunity, take it. I remember even I sometimes I have staff in my career come up to me and say, I have, there's a job opportunity, but I don't want to leave this company. And I say, go, go. Like everyone has to, it, you have to find out what you like and what you don't like. And the only way you figure it out is by trying. There's no other way.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, that's like my philosophy so far. Like I will finish strong and give the best of me and see where life takes me.
Yeah. And do you feel like Edmonton is kind of like home now, or not really? Is it starting to feel a little bit like home? Like, do you have friends? Do you have your favorite restaurant? Do you have like? Is it starting to kind of become, or still doesn't quite feel like it?
It did feel like it until someone told me about Victoria and that Victoria has like ocean and mountains, and I really miss that.
Victoria
Um,
is beautiful, but it is expensive. Good luck.
I know. It's just that I feel like I am missing like ocean, like the sea in front
Mm-hmm.
of me.
Well,
So
you can go back to Moncton, work for Irving Shipyard out in the East Coast, and there's ocean there, or C-SPAN. C-SPAN's on the West Coast. We have great relationships with them. But there's actually quite a bit of mining. There's a great mining company just outside of Vancouver. My dad worked at it, called Nelson Mining. So there you go. That might be, write that down. Maybe that's a place you could apply. Then you can work by the ocean and have a good job. And
does it have mountains?
all BC has mountains. It's easy. Right in Vancouver, you got grouse. You can go skiing and snowboarding in the day, and then at night,
Yeah,
relax.
I miss that combination, like
Mm-hmm.
ocean, mountains.
Yeah, yeah. And what about connecting back with Chile? Like, do you feel like you want to go back every couple years, visit family?
Yeah, so yeah, of course, especially in
Mhm.
summer because I really miss like the summer food.
Me too. But it's
Yeah,
almost summer here. It's almost summer here, so that's okay.
yeah, but here we don't have the corn that we have over there.
No, that's funny. We were just talking about the corn because we made pastel de choclo here in my house, and my parents came over, and it's like it's good. And I said, I know, the corn is not the same. It changes everything.
Yes, it's frustrating. Like I cannot do like humitas either. Like I really, really miss that corn.
That's my wife's favorite food is humitas. And for all the people listening that doesn't know anything about Chilean food, Google pastel de choclo or humitas. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. Like I really, really miss that. I have tried tamales from Mexico.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
No, they're okay. Same with papusas from El Salvador. Not the same. Not the
Yeah, like that's where I really miss the corn,
Yeah.
but like very much.
So come to Canada, but you'll miss the corn. Okay, there we go. That's the new logo.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like if they sell that corn here, my life will be completed.
Okay, well, we're at the end of the interview here, Sophie. And, it's always wonderful to share time with you. I love hanging out with you. You're a wonderful energy to be around. And you're just a great person. Let's get some advice from you now as a young woman who's, left your country to start a new thing in another country, and now we have a Chilean chapter and we're working with how we can incorporate that into being a pathway for migration. Maybe both ways. Maybe people in Canada want to work in Chile, vice versa. But for someone like you, like a young woman in Chile who's thinking about getting into maybe some type of engineering, what kind of advice would you give them knowing the path that you took?
Like to be prepared, like here things like have a process and people follow these processes. It's not like and yeah, like basically read the whole thing. Like I know it's a lot of information when you come because there are a lot of like steps in order to get like some documents. But you will have to read them, like you will have to do it and go through the whole thing. There is no like easy ways like to skip. So yeah, I would say just that, like read, be always informed, and keep the best of you. It's a nice experience. Like also I will say get involved in the communities, like do relationship with people. Like when you come here to these countries, you're alone, right, at the beginning. So friends are a very
Very
good
important.
support.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very important. And yeah, I will say mainly that.
Okay. And then what would you say would be the biggest thing to be careful about? Something that, as a, as a possible obstacle or something they can maybe prepare for that they may encounter that would be good for them to know.
Well, beside the cold.
Yes, besides the cold. Like I tell everyone in Chile, don't buy a winter jacket in Chile. They're all garbage. You need to buy the winter jacket here. We know what we need.
No, and also like your legs do feel cold. Like most of the people when they come here, they just put the jacket and it's like, oh, my legs are fine. Buy snow pants.
So aside from the cold, what would you say?
Aside from the cold, I would say I'm not sure. Like I believe like the system is very like well prepared here. Like I would say like just search for all the options. Like for example, I never expected like a food bank to be available for students. And I have met many students that they told me like, oh, I have been here for a year. I never knew that existed. And yeah, you can have like food for free and like it will actually help you. Yeah, I would say that take the opportunity of doing sports, like it's not as expensive, for example, to do snowboard or like ski here than in Chile.
Yeah, that is something that I always like. I have a cousin coming from Chile in 3 weeks, coming here, an engineer, coming to live with me, and he wants to live in Canada, and he's starting just like you. You know, he's young, 24, coming to do his thing. And he said, well, what should I do when I get there? And I said, you need to sign up for sports because he loves to play soccer, and there's lots of soccer leagues here. And he said, well, what about winter? I said, it doesn't matter. We have huge arenas built for soccer in the winter, and it's cheap, and you'll make friends, and you'll get to practice the language and, you know, and stuff like that. So, you know, it's very important to use so many of the systems that even people here take for granted, you know?
Yeah. Also, don't shout. I realize we shout a lot.
I get told all the time that I'm too loud and to talk slower because Chileans, we talk so fast. I get told all the time to slow down.
Yeah, that would be also another, like, our Chilean Spanish, nobody understands it except Chileans. So you'll have to neutralize your Spanish and reduce the speed for sure. Yeah, just be respectful with other cultures. Basically that.
Awesome, Sophie. Well, thank you so much for taking time to be on the show today. Is there any shout outs or anybody you want to say hi to before we go?
To my family. My sister, she will understand everything.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thank you very much, Sophie. I hope this year goes well. I hope you solve your mathematical problem that you're trying to solve right now. I know you'll get there. I know, and I wish I could offer to help, but I don't think I would be very helpful at this point. But I'm sending you all my energy to get you through it. And are you going to be at CanWeld in Toronto in June?
Yes.
Oh, you have to be because you're the chair. You have to be. So I'll see you there, and I'm excited to see you there. And well, I'm sure we'll have a great summer.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. And for all the people that have been following along with the podcast, thank you so much for downloading and following along. If you can always, we are always looking for more suggestions, recommendations for people on the show. I love when I get my Instagram DMs and people say, hey, check out this person or that person. I follow them all up, and we actually have gotten most of them on the show. So we're always looking for more suggestions. I hope you really enjoyed this episode, which is out during National Volunteers Month as a sign to get out and volunteer and work with your local communities. It is one of the best ways to really amplify your career. So stay tuned for the next episode, and we'll see you there.
We hope you enjoyed the show.